I'm Heather Lyons. I'm the Executive Director of the Living Arts and Science Center, and I want to thank you all so much for being here today to celebrate this really exciting point in the history of the Living Arts and Science Center. It has been probably, what we're here today to celebrate has probably been about 46 years in the making. From the very first thoughts about this organization, they knew that at some point they were going to outgrow this beautiful historic house. And there's been a tremendous amount of work and effort and creativity in finding every nook and cranny that has been used for program space over the years. I am incredibly fortunate to have had the opportunity to step in to work with an organization that had such an amazing amount of goodwill in the community. And that is by no small measure because of two of my predecessors. Jim Seidelman, who was brought here by Lucille Little when the Living Arts and Science Center was first conceived in 1968. He was the very first director, and actually, as he has told many stories, kind of operated this organization out of the trunk of his car until the Kincaid family very generously donated this building for them to use, and then later donated the building and the grounds outright to the organization. Marty Hinton, who immediately preceded me, was the director here for 23 years. So I think it's incredibly telling that these two individuals are with us today. They have always been part of the Living Arts and Science Center, whether they were here working on site or not. They've been such incredible role models for all of the arts in this area, have been incredibly involved in teaching and mentoring so many others. And it really is because of the work that they did that we're able to be here today, because it is for, we actually, through the three of us, we complete those 45 years of the history of this organization.
Spent this past weekend reflecting on the Caudill campaign and my time on the board of directors, and we've just received so much support from the community. It's really been tremendous. We've had so many supporters that are volunteers, donors, board members, advocates. It really just goes on and on. The success of this Caudill campaign is due to our tremendous staff and our generous supporters. I'd like to thank all community members involved in the Caudill campaign, as well as our current and past board members. This would not be possible without you. First, I'd like to thank our current board of directors who have played an instrumental role in the Caudill campaign. My fellow board members have contributed in many ways to the success of the Caudill campaign. They've contributed by continuously advocating for the need for this building. If you're ever here on a busy day, you'll see why we need a new building. They've secured individual and corporate donations. They've advised on the design and the construction process. And they've just been support for Heather, for Andrea, and for the rest of our staff. While I'm thankful for our current board of directors, much of our success is due to over 4 decades of board members who have diligently worked to support the center's mission and staff. There are actually many former board members with us today. I'm grateful to follow in your footsteps. There's actually one former board member that I'd like to point out, and it's Doris Schaus, and I see her back there in the 3rd row. And she was actually one of our founding board members, so we're so happy to have her here today. The seed money for the Living Arts and Science Center was actually from the Junior League of Lexington, and I believe that 4 of the founding members were Junior League members. Is that correct? Yes.
I started coming here when I was a girl, and attended classes here then. I have my son, a 13-year-old son who comes to classes here, has come to classes, and I've come here as an adult. And one of the things that some people don't realize, a lot of you will, but is that we teach all ages. And we have at one point in all of this process, Heather and I were talking, and she said, you know, we've tried to find a place like the Living Arts and Science Center somewhere else in the United States, and we haven't found one. And I think it's remarkable that how unique this place is, and that it's in Lexington, Kentucky. So a couple of years ago, when I got I'm on their mailing list, and when I got the card announcing this campaign, I thought it was so gorgeous. And the other thing is, it had Gloria Singletary's name on it, and that got my attention. And I donated, I joined the board, and Miss Singletary passed away, and I would like to honor her. It's, you know, with great humility that I stepped into her shoes to take this on. And the other thing is, I just want to acknowledge Heather. Heather stands up here and gives everybody else all this credit, but she's an amazing executive director. This place, with all three of these directors, what got my attention is we have no debt. We run all of these classes on a balanced budget that's not very big. We go into 36 counties at this point, and growing. So it's a healthy organization, not just, and you can't say that about a lot of things these days. So what's going on today? We've talked about the past and how vital that was to where we are today. But today, there's 75 kids in this building right now. We hope you'll take the opportunity to go inside and check it out. At noon, when parents come to trade out, pick up kids and drop kids off, you'll see how badly we need our new parking lot. These kids in there are doing all kinds of things. Some kids are working on sculptures. Some are doing drawing and creating their own sketchbooks and journals. And some are doing something that I find particularly interesting. They are making working with raw foods and vegan cooking. So, you know, I thought, gosh, how cutting edge that the whole raw food movement is here at the Living Arts and Science Center. But, you know, yes, we are cutting edge, but the fact is we don't have a kitchen, so we can't cook. In the new building, we're going to have a teaching kitchen so kids can actually learn how to cook cooked food. You know, the growth will be exponential. It has been exponential in the last 5 or 6 years. We are beyond capacity. And when we get this new building, it's going to be, we're just going to fill it up and be able to keep growing, which is so badly needed.
The Living Arts and Science Center would not be able to move forward with this exciting project without enthusiastic support of Lexington's community leaders. Amongst the audience today are a few of those supportive leaders who have advocated for the LASC and have offered advice, encouragement throughout the campaign. I'd like to recognize a few of those leaders with us today. Jim Clark with Lex Arts, Linda Gordon, our Vice Mayor, Colleen Cheney, representing Congressman Andy Barr's office, and Councilman Steve Kay. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sorry if I've missed anybody that snuck in. The Living Arts and Science Center is very fortunate and proud to be part of the Lexington downtown community, particularly the Martin Luther King neighborhood. With a long tenure in our home here on historic Martin Luther King Boulevard, we're thrilled that this project will not only expand our space, but renovated this storied building, enabling us to not only remain in this neighborhood, but devoted to our programs and services.
I want to thank Heather, her staff at the Living Arts and Science Center, and the Board of Directors and many supporters for this opportunity to share in such a joyous occasion for the groundbreaking here this morning. I'll keep my comments brief, but there are 2 points I'd like to share with you. Is that there was never a doubt when I came into office just a few years ago and was introduced to the project that this project would come to fruition, that we would be here today on the cusp of groundbreaking and seeing construction in this neighborhood for this very important center. I know we've had a recession, we've had some other challenges in our community, but Lexington always stands up to make great things happen, particularly when it serves the youth of our community for arts and science. So I want to applaud again, Heather, you and your colleagues for your vision and your commitment for charging forward. We're not quite there yet. There's a lot of work to be done, but we've come quite a mighty long ways. As a representative of the 1st Council District, it goes without saying that the Living Arts and Science Center is truly a jewel of our neighborhood. I understand, Mayor, that the history of this home, what we see around it is a neighborhood that was built around this home and what it has meant. As we stand here today, we see parents and children going in and out of the building. We don't see any gates around this campus. This is truly an open space, and we are so grateful for it. So while today we are definitely breaking ground on a new facility, there is no need to restore any. There's never been a break in the community bond between Living Arts and Science Center and our Lexington community. Congratulations, we're so proud of you.
I confess to being given occasionally to enthusiasm, but not to casual hyperbole. So when I was thinking this morning about today and some adjective to describe it, I just came up with one, and this is a phantasmagorific day. Now what that means is that's taking fantastic, marvelous, and terrific and putting them all into one word. And I'll tell you why I thought of that. And it really goes back, Heather was describing the first time that I was introduced to the project. Heather came to see me. Randall Vaughn, who's I've worked together with for many years, close to a quarter of a century. We sometimes don't want to admit it, but I think Randall was chairing the selection committee, maybe, and some role like that. And so they had selected DeLeon and Primer, and the firm representatives of the firm are here today, and they had come up with a conceptual design for the project. And I believe my eyes, Heather, must have gotten as big as silver dollars because it really has done something remarkable. And when I think of three words that also describe Lexington, its history, almost 250-year history, we can reach into touchstone language like a place that is special and unique and authentic. And in so many respects, that's what this project has done. Of course, taking this extraordinary legacy and what it means to now generations of children, and how that then influences their lives, our lives. And seeing a piece of remarkable late 18th, early 19th, really 19th century, but an influence of 18th century architecture, then juxtaposed against a remarkable piece of 20th and 21st century minimalism in architecture, and how that together represents creativity and imagination. But the entire process and this legacy, this extraordinary 45-year legacy, is really represented, and the architecture is a metaphor for that history. Because it represents spirit, and it represents persistence and determination and imagination, and a relentless pursuit of all of that. I remember seeing a project similar to this about 20 years ago, and the Farishes, who are so instrumental in this project, would know it. If they were here, they would know it because they're from Houston. The Demonil collection, the art museum in Houston, is a contemporary piece of architecture that was created almost 40 years ago, and the architect then The architect for it was Renzo Piano. He was young, he'd just done the Pompidou in Paris. But he placed a piece of contemporary architecture within a neighborhood in Houston, a tough neighborhood, a challenging neighborhood, one that was declining. A lot of wonderful bungalow homes. And it became then a touchstone for recovery and for a renaissance of that place. It inspired then continuing architecture. Philip Johnson created what's called the Rothko Chapel, which is a small little museum dedicated to the work of Mark Rothko. And over time, it's inspired not just a neighborhood, but a city, and then culture even beyond the city limits of Houston. So when we see this project and its influence on the kids and on the children, we see its influence also on our culture and our future for generations. I think often of the story of that today represents so well, and especially in the recognition of Doris, the Junior League Doris, of the work of Marty, of Jim, and today, Heather, your work and your staff and your extraordinary board. I think of the story of the opening of Disney World in 1970 in Orlando. And Walt Disney had actually, of course, imagined it and worked on it for almost 15 years then, after first creating Disneyland. But he had passed away the year before. They were at the opening ceremony, and Walt's widow, his wife, Lillian, was there, together with his brother Roy. Well, after the ceremony was over and they were sort of reflecting among themselves, Roy Disney said to Lillian, "Lillian, it's too bad Walt wasn't here to see this." Well, Lillian didn't miss a beat. She said, "Oh, Roy, he did see it, and that is why we are here." So to all of you who have been so much a part of this story that has now developed over almost a half a century, thank you on behalf of our city and these kids coming up here right now, and I don't know what they're going to do. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your imagination and your vision way back when. Thank you all. On the count of three, we hit Wes and all photographers. 1, 2, 3.